Good morning, esteemed guests and all the dignitaries here, and all our participants, the startups. We are very happy to have you here. We want to welcome all of you all to the COVID valedictory session. COVID actually stands for COVID-19 Technology Development. This was an acceleration program that we had proposed to SPMCIL back in April of 2021, right in the middle of the second week. So we during the pandemic, it was realized that the startups actually can really help in mitigating a lot of things that the country was facing, especially in terms of kits. So primarily our initial idea was that we will help these startups to take their technologies which were at TRL level 3, 4 and help them reach the market. So we designed a 16-week acceleration program. We'll talk a lot more about it. We were very happy and we were very grateful that SPMCIL decided to pledge 2.3 crores for this particular program, out of which 1 crore was directly given to this startups as seed fund. So 8 of the startups have been actually funded through the program.
Is somebody online?
So I will just like to make a quick brief introductions of the people here. So I'm very happy to out from his profile. I was just trying to Google sir. Was that he has worked a lot in resolving man-animal conflict. So one of the things that even I talk about is livelihoods. That providing livelihoods from forests, so that the forests can be protected. We have a couple of programs that we are also designing and working around, and we're very happy that we have sir who probably later can also guide us in those matters. We also have Shri Ajit Rangrekar sir. He is now the CIO, the Chief Innovation Officer of Telangana State. He is also the CEO of RICH, which is the Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. So thank you so much for joining us. I know that you are not well, so it's really we're really happy to have you here. With us is the Director of CCMB, and I will just like sir to say a few words about CCMB before we begin.
Thank you. Let me start with, I've been kind of associated with RICH for a while now, for last 2 years, and with you people for again the same period. COVID is a time where most of us have come together, and it is actually I believe that from the context of the way startups have built up and the way things have happened in India, COVID is actually the turning point, and I hope that that particular momentum is sustained going forward. And so these associations that we have built during COVID should be nurtured, and also something that we need to really use it, harness it for addressing other problems. There are many problems which are interesting, and startups are working on such interesting concepts which you would realize after a while when they start talking about their work. And there are once people who are taking these risks which not many people would take 5 years ago. So I like the ecosystem currently for this kind of innovation ecosystem that is existing in India, and people like you are actually the ones who are going to want help and make it drive it forward. So what I want to just briefly talk about, I don't really like to take too much time, is about CSR-CCMB. CCMB is basically a campus that was started in 1977. The next door, there is a lab called IACT. At that time, it was called Regional Research Laboratories. And in 1977, Dr. Pushpa Bhargava, our founder director, came up with this idea of having a molecular biology institute which works at the cutting edge of basic biology and basic molecular biology. The institute was started in a lab there. And then this land was given, and this land was built into an institute. In next 10 years, the whole building was made. Now it may not look that much, but let me tell you, in 1987, this was literally considered Taj Mahal for science. The kind of grandeur that it was built with was literally considered as very heavily spent. And you can see that in every corner of it, so much love and affection is put into building this. Everything is literally, with such micro details have been taken into account. And over and above, there was a lot of association with art. Okay, so we used to have artists come to CCMB, do paintings, and musical fests used to happen. Now we do that, but only do it on Founders Day and Foundation Day. At that time, it used to happen more frequently. This institute was much smaller in size, and it had a very different feel to it, and it was so different from the existing institutes. And 1991, when I was looking for PhD positions, there were 4 institutes were at the top of my mind, and I was fortunate to be associated with all of them as of today. JF for Bombay, of course, and then IISc, the Grand Old Institute, and then 2 other institutes which were contemporary at the time, CCMB and NII. Eventually, I did my PhD in IISc. I was a faculty in NII, currently I'm director of CCMB, so at least 3 of them I've covered. I'm involved with many activities in TIF for Bombay. But these were the only 4 institutes that existed which are really of that repute then. Later on, other things like NCBS and ICERs and IITs and everything has come up. Over the period of time, biology research in India is now much more widespread. But if you think about our time, that time in 1970s, this was the Molecular Biology Institute. This was actually the one which worked at cutting edge. And in 1980s, another illuminary named Laljit Singh also joined, and Laljit Singh actually in 1988 actually came up with this DNA fingerprinting technology that was actually originated here. And it was not done, in fact, but it was done as a way for his work. And it was later on, those probes were used. We were the first one, the 3rd country in the world, and of course first in India, but 3rd country in the world to have our own probes for this, DNA fingerprinting. Our idea is to go into modern areas in research in frontiers of modern biology. You can talk about anything, structural biology, developmental biology, anything. We have a presence there. If something is worth doing, we have a presence there in biology. So to train people, of course, in advanced areas of biology, so we take quality PhD students. We have around 25 to 30 students a year who graduate from this place, and generally they are trained, and I would say more holistically. They know how to talk, they know how to present their work. They are anyway, they go through the drills of multiple seminars and even comprehensives and other things. So whole idea is society and us should work together, and this has been the motto and continues to be the motto even today. And we have 3 campuses, and this is the main campus. Main campus simply because of the fact that it is built first, and the next one is the Lacones, which is built in 1998. And this is where Karthik and others work, and Umapati, and there are 4 more scientists who work. And then you have CRF, which is where Atal Incubation Center is currently located, in the top 2 floors. And the bottom, this one of the floors is for the what we call as diagnostics for the human like rare genetic disease diagnosis, and then wildlife diagnostics. These are the other 2 things that we do in the campus. We also have a business development unit, and I'm planning to move a full-fledged infectious disease biology unit to that place. So these are the various areas. These are the campuses that we have. We have at this point of time, including residents, approximately 40 acres in the city, and another 48 acres is something we have near BB Nagar. So we have around 98 acres of land across Hyderabad. And we have around 64 scientists as of today. There are, in addition to that, another 8-9 people who are superannuated but are associated with CCMB, even research capacity, which includes Madhu. And then we have, that is what, 8 fellows. And then we have tech staff, which is around 93 people. Support staff is lower, but it needs to go up. Our major strength is in the PhD students. We have 150 people, postdocs 41, and project personnel 116. Total, we have around 300 odd people working in this campus. And in addition to that, at any given point of time, we have around 40-50 trainees. And in addition to that, we have a lot of outreach programs. So we have an inflow and outflow of young people coming in and going into this institute. Organization-wise, we work on developmental biology. We basically use Drosophila as a model system, and we do, of course, cell biology, and this is yeast, and this is bacteria, zebrafish, mice, plants, and this is the embryo. So, basically we are even doing genetic engineering. We can even generate transgenic mice. So all these things under one roof. This is all in a very small campus of around 17 acres. That's all it is. And we do all these things under one roof. And these are the various topics in which we are working: structural biology, gene regulation, stem cell crop improvement, developmental biology, microbial infections, and wildlife and conservation ecology, which is where the Lacons campus comes into play, and technology development. So we have most probably may not be the best in the India, but for sure in the top three. We have most probably the best possible facilities the country has to offer: bioinformatic facility, zebrafish facility, advanced imaging facility, X-ray facility, transgenic, cryo-EM, everything. Cryo-EM is one of the most recently added facilities in India here. And our scientists are recognized very well. We have 3 Infosys awardees here, a lot of J.C. Bose fellows, Shantiswarup Bhatnagar awards, 12, and many other awards, whatever that is India has to offer, some scientist or other has got it, including all the way up to Padma Bhushan. So, and fellows of national academies, most of us are already fellows of various national academies, multiple. And this is, in addition to doing whatever we do, we have done some seriously important societal impact work. For example, DNA fingerprinting. The institute started from this place. Without, CCMB is the place where CDFD started. CDFD went on to become a different institute. And we were involved in this Samba Masuri rice. Samba Masuri rice is basically had blight resistance, which is a bacterial, blight disease. So because of that, what used to happen is that the rice would go bad fast. And Sonti and Hitain, they have actually come up with this blight resistance. This was done with ICAR collaboration, and this is now in 6,000 hectares across India. Then we were heavily involved in sickle cell anemia, and we continue to be involved in working with sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is a huge problem in India. 7 crore people in India are affected by or heterozygous minimally for sickle cell anemia because of one mutation, one base change in hemoglobin. That's enough for basically to give you the sickle cell anemia thing. We were involved in reintroduction of the Indian mouse deer into the wild, Umapati's work, and Lacons. Karthikeyan will also talk about it. We are involved in wildlife forensics. This was developed during Laji's time, or at a later point of time, it became part of us. COVID-19 work, we have done a tremendous amount of work end to end for COVID-19. Diagnostics, we trained people, we screened things. We have done everything in our capacity to help our government. And AIC was heavily a part of this because they even brought down the cost of COVID kits from what was 300 or 400 or 500 at that time to 70 rupees. By indigenizing.
Initially it was 3,000.
No, but from when they picked up, it was around in hundreds, and they brought it down to 60 rupees or 70 rupees. So, and also they were involved in mRNA project. mRNA project, we are among the first ones to do mRNA project successfully. Means we know how to do it end to end, and it works. So now we are taking it to other diseases like dengue and tuberculosis, and hoping that this will be used. With all these things, we believe that we have contributed as much as possible into the society. And here is a slide that talks about Lacons. Lacons is such an interesting campus. It's not very often that in CSR system you'll even find one thing like this. They do everything. He works on snake venom and Pashmina shawls diagnostic to figure out whether it is Pashmina versus Shatus. He works on biodiversity. I'm talking about Umapati, and anyway, endangered species. Comes up with some diagnostics for finding out from the urine metabolite diagnostics. Interesting work. A lot of interesting work by scientists of Lacons. I'm only talking about 2, but in case it is required, these are the people who really can talk about it. See, documenting biodiversity pattern in an integrative framework, ecology and evolutionary drivers of the community assembly and diversity. So endangered species, of course, using genomics, reproductive and stress biology, understanding human-wildlife conflict, all these things. I would say that not even whenever our DG or anybody comes here, they're mighty impressed by the fact that we have end-to-end, which includes something like Lacons, right? There are multiple applications, including wildlife diagnostic, biobanking, we do it, exudative species conservation, we do. All these things are done. I believe an institute of this level should be heavily involved in training people, and we are heavily involved, in fact, in training people at every level. So those who are finished masters, those who are doing masters, those who are doing BTech final years, those who are doing integrated MSCs final year, everything. We just train people and they come here. In addition to that, we have a huge level of science communication. Open Day in CCMB is a very famous one. I can get about easily 7,000 people from Hyderabad every open day on 26th September. It is attended by almost 7,000 kids. And Atal Incubation Center, I mean, anyway, you guys are here for that. But nevertheless, it is part of something that was started around 6.5 years ago and is doing fantastically well. And that is what anyway the talk is going to be about. COVID-19 work, as I just now said, we did everything in our capacity. And with this, I want to stop my brief overview of CCMB. It's a popular place. In CCMB, at least, we don't have to say that we are working in CCMB and they look at with you, you're faced with a question mark. It doesn't happen. They know. And this is the open day photograph at CCMB. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would just like to introduce our CEO, Dr. Madhusudan. Sir, if you could just give a little brief about AIC-CCMB. Also, I would like to welcome Suresh, sir. Dr. Suresh Munuswamy is from IIPH, which is the Indian Institute for Public Health. And he has also, been a very good mentor to us, and we welcome him to the meeting.
Good morning. Good morning, and personal. I'm very happy to have you, sir, with us from an organization that was, helped us extremely well in a situation during the COVID time. And I thank you, Mr. Ajit, for being with us. Of course, Suresh from HI with us. Thank you very much for being here. So, briefly about the incubation center. It's a kind of spin-off from CCMB to support startup ecosystem, primarily incubation kind of a thing in life sciences. So it started 6 years ago, 2017 middle, and we've been supporting several of these startups in life sciences over a period of time. But as it happened during the COVID time, many things have come to a standstill, and the pandemic was very intimidating. And at that point of time, there is a lot of initiatives that were taken by CCMB, and those initiatives helped us to get into, say, for example, we were collecting a lot of samples that gave us a good control over the patient samples in case of COVID patients. So that helped us to do a lot of things otherwise, like culturing the cells and things like that. At that point of time, we came into contact with SPMCIL through a different route where they wanted us to test one of their ink material for its antiviral properties, because we were doing the culture of COVID virus. So we are capable of it. That time we did a couple of your paint formulations we tested that time and showed them which one is better than the other. So around that time, the contacts helped us to look at us to support our COVID related activities. And as you know, around that time, we were, CCM and myself were handling a project from Gates Foundation on indigenous technologies for COVID testing. What is the internal capacity and can we do it, which was also part of it in looking at the capacity building. So at that point of time, your support came up timely for us to promote those kind of startups to scale their products to a level where they will be useful. In fact, that point of time we supported, as you would see down the line, during the time in the morning in the tech show, you will see the kind of technology that we supported with the support that we received it. Another very important thing in that particular program that you gave from the support you gave us is acceleration. See, as you know, startups come up with the kind of unsure of the business path. So it is very important to train them very early in their game about what kind of challenges they face. So we had a 3-month program, what we call as acceleration, I'm sure you are aware of, where we bring a lot of experts from different business, marketing, IP, regulation and all these things. We bring them, make them aware so that they can put their product in the market very quickly. In fact, you will see some of the products that they have made are really impressive. And we also made a couple of charts. Later on, you will see on what is the impact the support that was given by SPMCAL brought to the company. So we have certain slides in the tech show that tells us what is the valuation increase of the companies post the support that we received from SPMCL. These are all the kind of metrics that tell us that the support was timely and the execution was proper. So this dashboard essentially catches up with the profile of our incubation center. I mean, these are the startups that we had in the last 6 years, and we invested around $0.6 million in various companies. These we call them as portfolio companies, and these companies have raised 25 million last 6 years in various private funding or public funding, and 35 patents were filed during the stay in these 6 years from these people. And these are the various national programs that come to us, like DSTNI, the seed funds from Startup India, Mighty Startup Hub. These are all various funds we operate to support our incubatees and also the startups. And these are all benefactors, like SPMCL is one. We also had the fortunate support from Rural Electrification Corporation and Humane Society International, Rockefeller Foundation, and Blaze Foundation for In Vitro Diagnostics of Gates Foundation. So these are all the things that we've been receiving in a goodwill support to support these startups in various ways. So one of the things we will come back to, sir, in bringing a bit more attention to Rural Electrification Corporation program maybe later on. Once we finish this with Karthikeyan, we did a project in Kashmir. We wanted to have a look at that, and we need your inputs because it's primarily a wildlife conservation project. So, as I mentioned, the primary purpose of this particular acceleration program is to, identify interesting startups in the area of COVID only. All the projects, health and COVID is the focus in the support systems, and the acceleration program, as I mentioned, is to create a kind of mentorship network for the startups so that failure rates are low. This is a 4-month project that the acceleration program. Various experts come, including one of us is Suresh Muniswamy is here, who has been very helpful in various things. And we have so many support systems in the local Hyderabad ecosystem. I just quickly go through. This is the program overview, and this is where you're going to speak, Mike. I'll stop here. This acceleration program and the support system that we received is what we are going to. We were happy to use it in this system, and then we are very, very thankful for the support given by SPMCL and over the period of time. And probably if you look at the kind of impact that we created, I'm sure we would like to continue our conversation with SPMCL further. Thank you.
So thank you, sir. So I'll just give an introduction. I didn't introduce myself so far. So my name is Ritika Marampalli. I look after, I'm the head of corporate relations at AIC-CCMB. Primarily, I look at the CSR projects. So I have also been the POC for this particular project. And I am extremely thankful for the opportunity because this was my first CSR project. And I learned a lot from it. And I have had the most wonderful experience, because one thing was that, people on the other side also understood what we were talking about, which for a lot of CSR projects, they don't understand why they should be supporting incubation centers. So primarily it started from there that, we explained what we were going to do, and from SPMCL also that at that point of time, Dr. Mystartuptv Ghosh was the CMD. So she very graciously supported us. So we had actually devised a 16-week acceleration program where we got in professional consultants who were able to help our startups. Primarily, we were giving them a lot of along with this professional consultancy where they were getting one-on-one mentoring as to how to take their business forward, how to get into, how to navigate the regulatory pathway, because one of the main concerns with any kind of a healthcare product is the regulatory pathway. We also provided them with a lot of resources that we were able to build in-house. Some of the we had asked SPMCL to support us with some capital goods as well, some equipment. We will show those as well later, as well as having a lot of discussions around business strategy, market entry, and product development. So as a whole, this is the impact that we have 3 years down the line. We're very, very proud to say that, this is the impact that we have created. Out of the program, the 2.3 crores that was supported to us, we have launched 6 products through the startups. We have supported them primarily with the funding as well as the entire program. 6 of them have actually launched and they're doing well in the market. 2 of them are right now in the market. They're on the way to market. Of the startups that have, their products have been made, they have already screened over 1 lakh patients, which is a very good impact according to us. In total, 31 startups were able to take benefit of this program because some of the sessions that we were doing, we were also doing for them. So 31 in total startups have actually benefited from them. A total of 103 lakhs was supported to the startups. 8 of them have received funding from us. We have conducted over 70 hours of mentoring sessions, workshops and technology showcases. One of them is right now. And over 50 hours of one-on-one mentoring. From here, I would like Dr. Ramji to just speak a little bit about the acceleration program and the impact that it has created.
Thanks, Ritika. Sir, I think having CSR support to various blood donation camps or maybe distribution of medical kits, etc. So for several years, I think so many agencies funded, but this is a first of its kind support for the incubation center to invest small funds to push the startups. So innovation activities, SPMCL actually supported several healthcare programs that I were aware. Yesterday we were discussing with the audit team, and thanks to them for letting us know more activities about that. So these innovation activities, when we are getting this kind of support, we have to have a proper plan. That, as Dr. Madhu mentioned, how we can actually support them with the proper one-on-one mentoring. Those days, in fact, corporate connections and clinical connects, which are really required, and also having their problems in pricing as well. So we have to come for those kind of pricing strategies for the startups, and also marketing understanding, and also channel partnerships, sir, because they may not be commercializing their own products. So we have to actually connect with the existing market players. So we did first 2 cohorts with a partnering agency, but further we went down to our own extended mentorship programs. So as we 3 work for the core team to take care of this program, we have Mir, who is the coordinator. Mir is here. So he coordinates the entire program, and Nagmani as a technical officer to look at it. And having this small push of grant, they need much more seed fund or investments as well. So that's why we actually had Anuj Kapote. He takes care of all the investments, how they can be actually streamlined to the next level, scale up studies and GTM strategies. So, very diverse mentor pool that we have picked up, sir, that time, because having technical support, we are very fortunate to have our host organization, the scientists from CCMB, and Dr. Madhu, who hailed from CCMB, having a lot of knowledge in vaccines, diagnostics, or any other industrial molecule development. So, if you can see Sridhar Lanka co-creations, we actually did that initial 2 cohorts run by him, and he connected to a lot of stakeholders there, and Dr. Radha Rangarajan heading a couple of incubators and formed a couple of startups as well, like Vitas Farm and all. Now she's heading CSR CDRA Lucknow. So Sridhar being central point to connect to a lot of mentors in that ecosystem, and Dr. Radha more of technical support, and Mr. Habib into marketing area, and Ms. Usha in the finance and accounts, how to actually do the compliance and further, rules a startup should look at it. And Satyanarayana again co-creations, and Ninand core business of this particular diagnostics or medical devices sector. And Varun is a regulatory guy, Varun Trivedi, and Pradeep, how to pitch the best to relevant stakeholders in the ecosystem. So that way, these are core mentors. And other than this, we have another 20-30 odd mentors as well. So as we started in 2021, a grand start of this program where Ms. Tripti came here, and she actually understood how these innovations will go forward and what kind of infrastructure that we have. So then we slowly run programs one after the other. Recently, we onboarded 2 startups, sir, because we try to actually engage a national mandated program called this BIRAC's Gen Care program. So there are 90 fellows that have been selected, and out of 75, the early stage startups, they need small money of about 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, where we partnered with BIRAC, but fortunately they already selected and we picked the best 2 from our existing incubation cohort. So this is what we have done so far. And coming to the supported startups, though the money is limited about 1 crore, so how we can do 4 quarters, maybe 25 lakhs to 2 startups in the sense. So total only 10 we can support, right? So in that sense, 8 startups that we can support. But however, even without the money, we can actually extend the mentoring services and also the infrastructure that is supported by SPMCL to other incubators and startups. So the acceleration program has been enrolled by even more startups which are not directly funded by the SPMCL. So wafer chips, I think Achu and the team is here. So they actually developed this device. At that time, not only COVID diagnostics are important or vaccines important, comorbid issues. So how to actually understand the parameters, physiological parameters for those who really affected by COVID. So I think they came up with this beautiful device that is attached to your chest. You can actually get the ECG analysis, and that is actually seen in the mobile and looked after by the doctor and give proper advice. So they actually touched upon 16 states, sir, till now, and also did several other validations, and 2 global clients already they are having. In India, I think how many devices that you sold? 20,000 or so?
12,000 plus patients.
Yeah, 12,000 plus patients they have been studied, and 600 plus clinics they have touched upon. And coming to the sterile, sir, this is a sterilization device. In the COVID times, lot of sterilization devices, even CCMB actually validated starting from PPE kits, sterilization devices, sanitizers and everything, more than 180 plus products. And out of that, simple UV based technologies that came up to sterilize the devices. But this particular bar kind of device, if you can see it, it actually releases some free radicals that can kill the microbes. So that is where they validated this device in Narayan Hrudayalaya and many other clinics, and they're actually in the markets. So this NMIVD again, this is another diagnostic kit that they came up with. So typical antigen antibody kits, there are several kits that have been promoted in the market that time, and they came up with a small alternate platform where they initiated the diagnostic kit development activities. Again, Auditum, they actually having their expertise in not only COVID but also in the tuberculosis, because that time people doesn't even know that tuberculosis also may be prevailing and many other devices. So they came up with a very interesting cyber green based technology, sir, because an artificial kits are there, but again, how to minimize the cost, how to increase the efficiency, etc. So this particular kit has been patented already, and they look for some commercial partners to take it forward. And enzymes, in the COVID times, mRNA vaccines becoming so popular, and the pseudoiridine, one of the molecules that we actually import, and also in the chemical based molecule, but they came up with a enzyme based molecule that pseudoiridine actually efficiency is very much increasing, at the same time the cost also reduced. So that is a very good technology that enzymes has been developed, and Shankar is here. Yes, primary health tech, again I visited about 8 to 10 months before to their site. They are now manufacturing this device. At that time, COVID time, they came up with a base diagnostic kits, but this particular real-time device that they made, so more than about 15-20 parameters can be analyzed with 1 drop of blood. So this is a very advanced technology, and I think AIMS and other hospitals, they're trying to validate more with more parameters as well. So they actually trying to apply for about $1 million grant by TDB and other sources, so that they can establish their own manufacturing facility in Delhi. Again, Bryota, Aditi is here. This is very interesting, product where having the lung health, we have to understand, how we can actually have the lung health. That's where spirometry assisted virtually and early, that's what the name that you have given Aditi save. So you can understand, what kind of parameters can be considered while using this device so that the lung health can be understood, the COPD can be analyzed for each of the patients, and they also kind of, how many states, we touched upon?
So we have almost 6 plus
States and
plus test, and we are going ahead with a big program coming under NHM.
NHM, so National Health Management. So I think that is a big story that Biota is adding up here. And Ripple Healthcare, elderly fall detection, right? I think this is again, may not be directly linked to the COVID, but recently we picked it because, elderly people suffered a lot actually in the COVID times. And, again, probably the consequences that may be happening, COVID or non-COVID based infections or age-related issues. This is also very important to support such kind of communities. And they already finished the MVP and validating with which clinics and all? AIMS you are doing, right? Yeah, AIMS New Delhi, the device is being validated, sir. So, if you can see, they may be at the TRLs 2 or 3, and some may be at the 4 level. But ultimately down there, the small 10 lakhs or 12 lakhs or 50 lakhs money, or even without the money, the companies could able to go to the TRL 7, 8. I think that is very important. Of course, a couple of dropouts are there in the sense because of their tech lesioning problems. At the same time, team issues that one startup could not go forward. But otherwise, I think as Ritika mentioned, out of the 8 financially supported startups, 6 have been, going to the next level to reach the market. So these are some of the snippets that we have. And Dr. Ghosh came here and we kind of, announced the program to the entire country because, first of its kind of support to the innovation and technologies where a lot of interest came in, even not only from the CCMB, but outside CCMB as well. So these are some of the tech showcases that we have done using SPMCL support that these technologies have been promoted in various forms, not only in the BioAsia or Global Bio India and many other, even the G20 DIA also in Bangalore, we actually showcased this COVID-based technology supported by SPMCL. So these are the few equipment that we purchased here, and they have been used not only by the SPMCL supported grantees and awardees, but also other startups of AIC-CCMB, thanks to the great support by SPMCL, sir. So I think we'll be moving ahead after another half an hour or so to the tech showcase that has been arranged, where you can actually see the real devices, how they are performing and interacting with the founders there. So we thank you, Mr. Vijay, sir. I think, this is a great support by you and also former CMD, Shri Shrimati Tipti Ghosh. And of course, one note we have to mention, Dr. Madhu is mentioning, the initial dialogues that have been started, as Durga is mentioning, Dr. Lalita Goyal and Dr. Dayananda actually put a note to CCMB, the then director, Dr. Rakesh Mishra and all. So the dialogue started that time, and fortunately today we have seen the reality here. So thank you so much for being here, sir. Probably any questions or at this point, otherwise maybe you can interact. So, so before we go to the tech showcase, we have some of the guest of honors today. We'd like to hear from them of how they actually engage with these startups that are associated with this SPMCL program. I request Professor Ajit Rangrekar, please.
So, I think even before I start, sir, I want to really compliment you because, while the use of CSR for innovation is legally permitted, I think probably less than 1 or 2% of all the CSR goes into, and I would very strongly urge both CCMB and you to please publicize this. This is an really path-breaking step, and this must be encouraged so that more and more companies start using, because the multiplier effect of this is going to be humongous. Yeah. So I think that is one very strong, and I must congratulate both of you. Of course, I know many of these startups. We work and support some of them, and in Telangana, we've had a wonderful confluence of a whole lot of things that makes it even better.
Yeah.
So let me just step back a little and talk about the whole issue of innovation in the state. So when the state was formed in 2014, the state decided that as a new state, what do I do that's different, say, from Karnataka or from Andhra or from anywhere, right? So the state decided that we will say innovation is our USP. The second thing the state said is that innovation must be inclusive. So it cannot be restricted only to the rich or to the educated. It must cover farmers, it must cover rural people, it must cover women, children, everything. So, and the third thing the state said was that as a state, our role is only to help create the infrastructure and to let the individual citizens do the innovation. So the state is not going to get into the actual doing of innovation, but enabling it. So under that, a number of institutions were created. T-Hub was the first one that we created. At that time I was still at ISB, and I take pride in the sense that we actually thought of T-Hub in my boardroom, and we were, some of us were the founder directors of it. Rich, which I now look after my retirement from ISB, was another entity which we created for a very specific Hyderabad-centric purpose. Hyderabad has 40 plus national research institutions and another 20 or 30 private top quality research institutions. Most of them are in health, agriculture. There are 17 agriculture research institutions, ignoring what you people do. I put you under life sciences, but excluding that, there are 17. And there are a large number of defense and aerospace. Right? So we said, let us focus. There is also a very big and robust life sciences industry. This is the seed capital of the country. Almost 2/3 of all seed companies are based here. And there is a slowly but fast growing aerospace industry. So when you have industry, when you have research, and you have a talent pool of people like these who are looking to do, how do we ensure that all of them work together and collaborate so that you get a multiplier effect? So that was why Rich was created, and Rich was conceived just before COVID had actually started, just during COVID. By the way, one of the things happened was in April 2020 when COVID was first the thing. At that time, the RT-PCR kits were about 3,000 rupees a shot. There was not a single indigenous manufacturer. In about 4 or 5 months, by about August, Jewel here in Hyderabad and a few others elsewhere, we were able to, working together, got them to qualify. In another year, the big effort led by Madhu here, C-Camp in Bangalore, NCL and others, worked together. And in 2020, we had no ability to even have a RT-PCR kit. By August, September, we had one, but made with imported goods. In a year, we had completely indigenous export quality kit preparation. A lot of this was again collaboration and support for initiatives like this. Right? Today, while COVID may have gone, they have now flipped, and that same community is producing TB kits. Tomorrow, if there is anything, you already have. So what we do not take credit for, or what you people do not take credit for, is for the fact that you have already built and enabled infrastructures which tomorrow can pivot and do other things. Yes. And I think we must recognize this, and we must, propagate that we've built a long-term institutionalization of research collaboration. And my congratulations to all of you for doing that. Right? So we work as an enabler. And as I said, our job is to enable hard and soft infrastructure. What we do is we look at the entire life cycle of innovation, say for example in life science. There are great institutions where research is done. There are young people who can find innovative products. There are people who can develop those products up to point of proof of concept. But then comes a very important step called validation. And unlike a digital product which I can put in manual, who the hell cares if it's validated or not? Who cares how much it is? We cannot let loose people in the life sciences sector without proper validation. And this is where many startups suffer. How do they go? And tomorrow I have a product. Can I knock on CCMB's door and say, come in? I mean, that watchman there is not going to let us, whether we like it or not. It's not just CC anyway. So that's number one. Number two is, where are the hospitals who are going to say, okay, where is the clinician support? You know, many of these people, how easily can you get clinician support? You manage to find one clinician to help you. God help you if you can do that. And then you're desperately looking. So how do we solve that problem? Today we have 16 or 17 hospitals working with. But there is one big problem, sir. The digitization of electronic records is only in the private sector, at least here. Again, CSR support to digitize public hospitals will give an enormous help to the startup community because, you know, who goes to the private hospitals? Only the wealthy. So you're going to get a distorted sample if I go to the private hospital. We need help to go to digitize public records and to make them available with all due procedures, privacy, informed consent and everything. But I think that is what will really help this country to make to the. Without this, in both agriculture and in health, we are likely to be left behind. So my hope and wish is that as we proceed, we need to form bigger collaboration. Collaboration like what you offer is not available at the moment. So that CSR support and funding support by informed people who understand what is happening, I think that is going to be critical. Let us hopefully widen this. There's a lot more that these institutions are capable of. I think, in my opinion, we are doing less than 1% of what we are capable of. And, one more thing that really worries me is AI. It's already reared its ugly head. And we are only looking at misinformation. But creation of destructible, life-threatening products is a distinct and a big, scary fear. And how can all of us create an ability to protect the society against it is going to be something that I hope we all work for. We will always support you. One thing I will say is that whether it's one government or other, I have worked with 5 chief ministers in the last 20-something years. No chief minister of this state has ever not supported innovation. So I'm personally confident that going forward, whatever happens, whatever they do politically, that's their lookout. Right? We don't want to get into that. But ultimately, all of them support, and that is the strength that this city and this street has. So thank you once again, sir, for your support, and thank you, CCMB, and well done. And more than them, thank you, these great young people who are working there. You are actually the people who do the work. We do only the talking. So God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I request Suresh Muniswamy.
It's actually great to see progress being celebrated, because it's not always often that we actually see change before our eyes. When I used to be in a clinic, which was fairly long time ago, patients, I actually started a clinic where I was born and brought up. So it's always a wonderful opportunity to treat people that you know of, you grew up with. They come to the clinic, you treat, and then next day you just walk on the road and then you see them, healthy and then happy walking around. We don't actually discuss anything, but it's always a feeling of happiness when you see people getting treated by you and us being healthy. It's also reflected in a slightly lesser way when you are teaching, actually, because students come in fresh and then after a few years, at least they appear a little bit enlightened. But when you look at startup companies, you have a fixed time limit. People come with relatively raw ideas, and then you put them into shape, and then they go through this process, and the processes become helpful to the people, and then you see changes happening. So this is again a wonderful feeling that you actually see that ideas take shape and progress. And this is 10 times difficult in our country. Anything that happens in our country is extremely challenging. And what I usually say is, it's not just a challenge. It's not just a 10 times challenge, but also it's even more complicated when it comes to healthcare, as what Mr. Ajit Ranganathan actually said. If you have any new idea, it can go on to a product next year. But if you have any new idea in healthcare, it's going to take at least 5 years, 10 years for it to reach people. Thankfully, during COVID time, things were accelerated, but back to normal processes is going to take a long time. So my request is always 3 things. People may agree, may not agree. It's always like more money, more time, less questions. And there are reasons, especially in healthcare. We can't compare healthcare to any other area because it's heavily regulated. So you definitely require more time. And the regulatory process is very expensive. The moment you reach the field, it's all expensive, not under your control. You'll have to keep pivoting iteratively. You have to redo a lot of things. So every step is expensive, so you need more money. And of course, we all go through this ethics process, and then we all try to do things the right way. But all questions cannot be answered all the time. So more money, more time, and less questions is usually the thing. The other side of this entrepreneurship is India is always dependent, or perhaps even now a little bit dependent on ideas that have originated from foreign countries. Healthcare, the way we practice is allopathic medicine, it's English medicine. And the challenge here is we have a lot of unique problems. India does not have a comparison anywhere in the world. We are a country of 1.4 billion people. Maybe in comparison, China is perhaps the only one that comes as close, but our challenges are our own challenges. Nobody is going to answer. And 20 years, 30 years before, if we had a challenge, we were just seeing and we can't do anything. But now, at least we have a system. We have all these younger minds taking the risk and coming out with solutions. And that should at least make us very happy. That there is actually hope, there is way forward. And we can at least take care of ourselves. And during COVID, not only we are taking care of ourselves, but we are also leading the way for the rest of the world, which has never happened so far, at least in maybe a lot of our own living memories. Maybe 500 years before it could have possibly happened. So there are a lot of wonderful things that are happening, and AIC-CCMB is literally in the heart of it. And Hyderabad has a wonderful ecosystem for healthcare, and we should all come together. And there's always a way to do it better. So I'll probably quickly end by saying congrats, great work. We should all keep going forward. And the donors, please, more money, more time. Don't ask too many questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Suresh. And also directly or indirectly, I think Dr. Karthik, Dr. Umapati, having their innovation zeal inside their brains, they're constantly engaging with us in various aspects. Thanks for joining us. So now I request Shri Vijay Ranjan Singh Saab. Before to that, I'd like to tell briefly, sir, a couple of liners. I got great information about you. Close to 3 decades is working for the government and in various roles and policy making. I think in the country, especially the fertilizers corporation, how it is to be developed. And he actually worked for FCIL and HFCL organizations, and part of various agencies across the country, and of course mostly into the Karnataka government. One last thing, an interesting thing that is close to my heart is he's also a wildlife photographer. Sir, actually I would like to see more of your works, and please I would like to hear you, hear from you to the audience, please.
Thank you.
So, I am sitting here in front of all of you because first I was a IFS officer.
Yes.
Before being a IFS officer, by education, I have done my master degree from molecular biology from University of Delhi way back in 93. Then it was the only institute of Mr. Maheshwari. He used to run a MSc course in the Department of Botany. So I have done my specialization of 1 year in MSc from there. So I also wanted to be a scientist like you long back, but coming from a very feudal society of erstwhile Bihar, now Jharkhand, I was forced to write the civil services. I have written a GRE. I was selected for the Wisconsin, but I was not allowed to go. So that was my first career change, and then I joined the Forest Service. And as Ritika rightly said, that I worked in the Forest Department of Karnataka in different capacity, mostly in the wildlife area, which had a lot of problem. I was trained by Dr. Karthik. He was my teacher. He was my guide. When I said that, he was laughing. But there is a reality. He was my teacher once upon a time. Then I have worked in a human-wildlife conflict, that is true. On the first day of my joining, elephant killed 2 students in a place called Kutta in Birajpet, and it was a nightmarish kind of thing. So since then, I worked in the wildlife area almost for 12 years. Why I'm telling you this experience, then I'll come to the actual topic. Then I thought that my life has been, my children, I had 2 daughters, so my daughter's future was adjusted with my career. So I should give a good education because I was transferred 8-9 times in 12 years in Karnataka. So I came to Delhi and my completely light, I never ever thought that I'll be here or I'll be there in the Department of Fertilizer. So I was posted in Fertilizer Department as a director of a policy division at the project division of Department of Fertilizer. My main work was writing the cabinet note which will decide the fate of around 58,000 crore of subsidy of all of us taxpayer. And apart from the chemical formula of urea, I was not knowing anything about the urea. So at the age of around 41 years, I learned what is the urea policy, how the units are given subsidy on the basis of their vintage, their technology, their fixed cost, their variable cost. And so I learned that. And I can proudly tell you that till date, the policy which was written by me, approved by the cabinet. Why I'm saying me? Because still I remember that I have written, it's not a self-praising, it's just an evolution. So what I intended to be and what I became in between in my life, I became a fertilizer man. They were laughing once upon a time. अरे साहब आप क्या करते हैं, जंगल घूमते रहते थे, फर्टिलाइजर में जाके क्या करते हो? It was a total mismatch. But that is the beauty of the Indian bureaucracy. And I wanted to take a challenge. If I have jumped in the deep pool, if I'll not know the nuances of the urea policy and fertilizer development and FCL, HCL, I was not actually associated. I was a board member. And including in Telangana, you might be knowing Ramagundam, that factory. That entire cabinet note, entire project with the 10% stake of Telangana government, 80%, 20% of EIL and then NFL. That entire policy note was written by me. So that time we have done a lot of work. Then you might be knowing the neem coating of urea. So those work was my original work. And that neem coating of urea came out of my research-oriented mind that why neem coating has to be done. And after seeing that, I became a PS. That Modi one government, they asked me to join as a PS to the then cabinet minister. He is no more, Mr. Anand Kumar from Karnataka. Although people say that you are from Karnataka, that's why you went there. So it was not like that. He was forced to take me at one point of time. He is no more, but I am telling you openly in this house. It is not being recorded, I hope.
Yeah.
So when I became his PS, then I came to know about this, your Jan Aushadhi store, which is now 25,000 Jan Aushadhi store. It was just 88 when I joined the PS to the minister. So then we mastered the how logistics supply chain, how generic medicine, what is the profiteering by the pharma companies. One Mr. Lanka Srinivasi is a great pharma man. So I saw, then I remember him. Then your Mr. Reddy's lab, Suresh Reddy. These people I used to interact, that how can you cross-subsidize our medicine in our Jan Aushadhi. So then I mastered that. DPCO is one note. Then came your stent price. What type of stents, how. So why I'm telling it, SPMCIL, it was not in my plan of my life. It is just a divine conspiracy of, it is good or bad, I don't know. On 15th of September, I always share with my people, when 15th of September, I saw my posting order, I Googled it, what is this SPMCIL? You are laughing, but just, my daughters are there, was there in Delhi, and I desperately wanted to go to Delhi. And then I came to the SPMCIL. So, why I'm telling you that the type of work these young minds are doing, the independence or the freedom, what they have received from their parent, or how you are helping them to realizing their dream, and out of 8, if 6 has come to some level of prominence, it is really a very heartening feeling. And it is nothing because of my predecessor. Just by default, I am sitting there. Maybe Tripti Patra Ghosh or the person who has helped you. And I was told that they were also not knowing about you. It was accidental. It was Durga Prasad can say that it was not that we were so willing to give you money. You really influenced us to give you the money. No, this is a reality I'm telling you. I have stopped all a CSR fund for last 2 board meetings, that I'll not sink a single one. Why we should give 50 lakh rupees to some huge hospital whose budget is 5,000 crore?
Exactly.
Why should we give 50 lakh rupees because I know that hospital owner, I'll give that private hospital 50 lakh rupees?
Absolutely.
Why should we give 62 kachara collection weighted? These are the funds which is given by the government.
Yes.
Why should I build the Anganwadi? I ask my people that this is because I have suffered that fund crunch. How small fund we used to collect for the tribal rehabilitation. So the work has done by all of you whomsoever are present. I really compliment and commend and deep appreciation for all of your work. How it will be going, whether we are giving you fund or not, that is the future to say. And what our director IAPA said, that we should not ask questions. But there are 1,000 people who ask questions from me. It is not our father's money. So we will bound to ask questions. I will bound to ask questions that when we are given 2.36 crore, then why only 1.3 crore went to the startups? I would have thought that again you have purchased some equipment to the CCMB. CCMB is a big organization. At least 80% could have gone to them. And unfortunately, the breakup which I was seeing while coming in the flight, it left there. Otherwise, I was about, you were asking to ask the question, I could have asked that question first. Because you can get funding, you can purchase equipment from many other sources, but where these poor guys will get from this? Almost 50% of money, not 50%,
55,000.
35, 45%. So that was my only question.
Yes.
And as our DG Reach was saying, the digitization of data, that is not our mandate. And to be very frank and honest, sir, for that the government has to be convinced and some policy intervention has to be taken by the government. We are a mini Ratna company. How much CSR we make? Hardly 20 crores. And we are spread all over India. Our 2 units are there. And what catches the vote? If I give money to the startup, how many vote those politicians or my government will take? Because we are a bureaucrat, we are just a tenants. Okay, I have been paid salary to run that company. For one project, I don't want to name, but fortunately that project was decided. So we'll be having some money. You submit the project. I'll not promise that we'll give you or not give you. But I'm biased toward your projects. And I'll give a favorable consideration. For the CSR subcommittee will decide about it, and then it will come to me for the final approval in the board. I'll support your proposal, but question they ask, and we have to convince them why we are giving, because some very powerful voice came, and that's why this money came to you. Otherwise, it would not come. It would have gone somewhere else. So since we have done it, we are ready to showcase our success. We are ready to see that how we have helped innovation, how we have helped the young mind to realize their dream. We will definitely do it, but how and when, there is a question mark, because everything is not in my hand. What is under my control, I can tell you, but what is not under my control, I cannot promise you. Because I am also working in some system where I have to answer. Otherwise, there will be 100 of petition and CVC and all those things. So if a private organization, if the Infosys Foundation or HDFC or maybe HCL, even other foundation, if they are money, they are not answerable to any public. But we are a public office. So we'll definitely support, sir. Don't worry. We'll not ask question. We'll convince them. So I am really privileged, feel honored and inflated to amongst such a bright mind and such intellectual people from different walks of life. So thank you for inviting me, and we'll definitely support, but how and when, it is just future to come. Okay, thank you.
Great, sir.
Yeah, so this is a wearable bed for elderly people. Elderly people, because of age, medical conditions, balance issues, they fall often. It's a very common problem. It's a global problem. So hip fractures are a very common problem due to the falls, injuries due to falling. So this belt detects the risk of falling. Based on the risk, it automatically inflates. These are the airbag cushions like we have in the automobiles, and it automatically inflates under a second. In case the fall is there, this protective cushions protects their hip from getting injured and thus saves them from traumatic hip injuries due to fall.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But is it 80%? Is it comfortable while wearing?
Yes, so we have tested with more than 200.
Especially in hot conditions.
What condition I doubt, because
It's very simple.
Yeah.
Why I'm telling you, suppose this is a very nice device, but is it not very hot? I'm being critical, so you can.
Yeah. So we have tested with a couple of about 150 patients so far, and we have got a mixed response. So we are working on the design, a little bit on the material of the the fabric.
How much it costs?
So to the patient, it costs about 10,000 rupees to the patient. So there are versions. There is Hip Pro and Hip Pro Plus.
As you improvise the device lightweight and or even cost may be high,
Yes,
or you
no,
will
it
be
will be
reducing the
reduced
cost.
because based on the economies of scale, as of now, we are just making hundreds of devices. So once we go in the goods manufacturing,
What is the costliest part that raises your cost?
so the battery is the most costliest part, and the controller sensors.
Okay.
So yeah, so
The imported ones? Obviously.
imported one is 1 lakh.
No, I mean the sensors you are.
Yeah, so it's coming from Taiwan.
That's
yeah.
where the problem, major of the
No sensors
medical
are
devices and
manufactured
all
in
these
India.
semiconductors and the chips and all.
Coming
That's
from
where the
China.
problem.
Yeah, and batteries from China.
Good. Congratulations and all the best for
Very
you.
good.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Ritika.
So this device does the testing of like 25 parameters का हम लोग testing करते हैं with a small amount of blood, and this device itself is sufficient to do all the testing. We don't need highly capital intensive units which are installed in the laboratories, and we can identify like the test related to kidney, liver, heart, like hemoglobin, cholesterol. Everything can be identified, and the accuracy has also been validated because we were talking about the validation. The accuracy has been validated by GMRC, Guwahati Medical Research Center, and we are conducting like trials in AIMS also, AIMS Delhi. They have also validated that these tests are like very good. And हमारा जो motive है sir, it is like making it more affordable, portable, and like digitize, of course. AI is also enabled in this to get the accuracy part, and we have conducted 50,000 plus clinical trials already, and हम लोग 7 से 8 health camps भी कर चुके हैं जहाँ पे हमें बहुत अच्छे results मिले हैं, and we were able to identify कि कितने % of people like they have been like they have some anomalies, and we are focusing on NCDs, non-communicable diseases. वहीं पर हम लोग जहाँ पर प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर में हम फोकस करके सर हम लोग रिमोट एरियाज में जाना चाहते हैं और वहीं हम लोग सक्सेस में करना चाहते हैं. वी हैव ऑलरेडी डन सम कैंप्स लाइक सेफ एक्सप्रेस के साथ और कैनेडा बैंक के साथ. वी आर एसोसिएटेड विद सम हॉस्पिटल्स आल्सो, एंड 50+ डिप्लॉयमेंट्स भी हो चुके हैं सर.
Two things quickly. How really it is real time? How much time? That's a question asked. How much
10
time
minutes
takes?
of
10
time.
Okay.
We can get the test
Second
done.
thing, the question is, will you be able to screen all the SPMCL employees? This is the another question.
Those are very, very less people. They are well paid. They get
Good answer.
Tell me how much your one test cost
So it cost approximately 30 rupees for per test.
per test. मतलब
Per test.
per item or all 20 parameters.
No, per item, I would say, but it is the MRP right now.
No. Suppose you said that one drop of blood you can test 20 parameters.
Yeah.
So for 20
So
parameters,
we draw at least like 5 to 10 ml of blood.
Altogether, as a package.
how much?
What will
How
cost?
much? So you draw 20 drops of blood. Okay.
जी
So one test के लिए आपको 30 rupees लगते हैं.
जी
तो 20 के लिए 600 रुपए लगेंगे.
जी.
इसका प्राइस क्या है?
इस डिवाइस का प्राइस है 90,000 रुपीज.
90,000.
What are the consumable costs and all other?
कंज्यूमेबल
ये तो
कॉस्ट
फिक्स कॉस्ट हो गया. इसका वेरिएबल कॉस्ट जैसे केमिकल, रिएजेंट.
जी रीएजेंट्स होंगे सर. इसमें रीएजेंट्स का जो कॉस्टिंग है, बिकॉज वी आर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एवरीथिंग, तो हम लोग वो तकरीबन हमारा 10 से 20 रुपए के बीच में होगा रीएजेंट
पर टेस्ट.
जी.
महंगा ही है फिर तो.
महंगा ही नहीं है सर. लाइक हम लोग ये सर ये पेशेंट का कॉस्ट बता रहे हैं, मैं अपना कॉस्ट नहीं बता रही हूँ, बिकॉज मुझे भी बहुत लाइक नहीं मैं आपको क्लियरली बता पाऊंगी वो वाला कॉस्ट, लेकिन दिस इज द कॉस्ट टू द पेशेंट. जो 30 रुपीज हम पेशेंट को चार्ज करेंगे. अगर हम 20 टेस्ट करना चाह रहे हैं तो वी विल गिव देम पैकेज लाइक 600 से 800 रुपए तक के पैकेज में विल कंडक्ट 20 टेस्ट फॉर दैट पेशेंट.
नहीं, जैसे मैं ये सोच सकता हूँ कि जैसे हम कोई बहुत जैसे नॉट तालुक लेवल हॉस्पिटल, होबली लेवल इन कर्नाटका, वी से होबली लेवल, तालुक लेवल, एक ग्राम पंचायत, होबली, देन तालुक एंड देन डिस्ट्रिक्ट.
जी.
तो मान लीजिए जो लोग बाहर जाके करवाते हैं, जैसे अभी हम लोगों ने एक पहले आपका लॉन्च करते हैं.
आप इधर आ जाइए.
अरे आप ही लोग का पैसा दे रहा हूँ मैं. ये पूछ रहा था कि अगर मान लीजिए अगर हम लोग आपका टेस्ट यूज करके अगर आपका बहुत कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव है, तो हम लोग कोई हमारे जो कंपनी थे जैसे आपका है, चाहे हमारा नासिक वासिक में है, जहां भी है जहां, तो वहां हम लोग इससे मास स्क्रीनिंग करा सकते हैं ना. जैसे अभी हम लोगों ने नासिक में 40-50 लाख रुपए का एक व्हीकल दिया. उसमें कैंसर का भी वो जो मैमोग्राफी करते हैं उसमें 15-16 डिवाइस, लेकिन वो सारे जो नॉर्मल हमारे लैब में होते हैं वैसे होते हैं
जी.
तो इसलिए मैं पूछ रहा था, इसलिए आपको इतने डिटेल पूछ रहा था कि कितना लगता है, क्या लगता है, क्या क्या टेस्ट करा सकते हैं, क्योंकि कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज से तो ज्यादा आजकल किलर है हमारा बीपी है, कोलेस्ट्रॉल है
जी. ये सब कुछ टेस्ट कर सकते हैं सर हम लोग. शुगर भी टेस्ट कर सकते हैं, हीमोग्लोबिन टेस्ट कर सकते हैं, HbA1c टेस्ट कर सकते हैं, क्रेटिनिन कर सकते हैं, LFT ट्राइग्लिसराइड्स भी कर सकते हैं. तो सारे टेस्ट पॉसिबल है सर. एट प्रेजेंट वी आर एबल टू कंडक्ट 15 टेस्ट अभी तक, और R&D में हम लोग इसको बहुत जल्द 25 तक लेके जा रहे हैं, और 50 का हमारा एम है कि हम 50 टेस्ट कर पाए. IIT गुवाहाटी में सर हमारे.
बहुत अच्छी बात है, कीजिए. हम तो आपके टच में ही है, मधु सर से भी आप टच में रहिए. अगर हमें आपकी जरूरत पड़ी तो हम आपकी सेवाएं जरूर.
We look forward to it, sir. Thank you.
Congrats and all the best.
Thank you.
So there is a impact book release by
Sir, this is the impact book. We are inaugurating through your.
Yes, sir.
No, sir. You also. Alex, sir.
दो ही CEO सर को दो.
सर ये प्रोजेक्ट हमने दिंडोरी नासिक में किया. You can see that for COPD and TB screening. Yes, yes.
27 villages and 12,000 people working.
Just explain quickly about
Yes, sir. This is same project. We have particularly done it in Nasik area, Dindori, where we did screening of more than 75,000 people for the first assessment of the COPD and TB. And this has given us a recognition by HM, and that is the reason we have launched this impact book. CCMB is being a crucial part of Rayata's growth. Now we have two devices, sir. You can see it on the technology desk. One is already in the market, and through YearHealth we are coming up with another device which will be used easily at the PHCs and the hospital level, sir. Right now we have a handheld device which is easily used in all the lower sector area. But going ahead with the easy to use and more modern devices coming up. And our test price is around 40 rupees per person.
Very good.
Yeah, and we have been doing this project in Nasik for unlike Dr. Bharti Pawar's assistant. She's cabinet minister in Delhi for health, and we could get the project through Ramji sir's help only. And we are doing this project again ahead under NHM for another project in Rewa and Pondicherry and Karnataka coming up.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And, do well.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for coming.
अब मुझे लगा कि वो बहुत समय लोग पैसे जो हुई asking like कुछ समय भी फंडिंग कराओ. Thank you.
This is from AIC.
So this is our offshoot Atal Incubation Center.
Brief about this that they dropped.
Yeah.
So this is future plans. We are working with Dr. Karthik.
क्या कौन है? So this is sample kit of it.
Public, please. After you give it to other motions. There are two more people here. Now cheaply.
Photos.
Yeah. Should I? Yeah, please.
We'll have one photograph with our
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
ground to your planning sir.
ठीक है?
Okay, sir.
आप लोग डायरेक्टली भी मुझसे टच पे रह सकते हो.
Yes, sir.
You're the local champion.
इन लोगों को मैं बाईपास नहीं कर रहा.
Sir, I'll give you two questions. All of them
Our system Pitapa
is very energetic to support all.
He created one program, sir. Acceleration in diagnostics का सर. आप इसे इस पे भी रिटायरमेंट के बाद काम कर रहे हैं. Good get the inspiration.
Suresh,
I'm 77, so I need to stop.
इनका छिप गया होगा ऐसे करके. ठीक है. Thank you. It's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. No, it's not that I am here. I'm saying I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really looking at innovation, CSR is something that really good.
And as you rightly said, there is too many regulation, ethics, because it's a health issue. It's a matter of life of a person. तो अब चाहिए चाहे नहीं चाहिए वो हमारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है. उससे आज मैं when I was coming the flight I was reading the 365 lesson of stoicism. तो उसमें यही लिखा हुआ था कि there are certain things which is under our control, which is freely given by nature.
Yes.
Like about this event, how this event will run, what he will say, what other speaker will say, I have no control. But what I am having control on my opinion. Okay. So what you think you are doing good, you should do. And why I was telling not my history, because I never thought that what I am going to be, but every stage at age of my 53-54 years, again I am learning from my great lieutenants about the metal, melting point, cadmium, how to get health hazard. No, seriously. How is making the smart card for army? It's an entirely new thing. So, and since you are having such a fertile mind, you can do wonders. We don't had this much of opportunity 30 years back. I'm really telling you, I remembered my days. I've come here once upon a time. Once. We used to send a lot of biological sample for your identification, wildlife crime. One person name I forgot. Last year he came and gave us lecture in the National Institute of Criminology in Delhi.
This is Sunil Verma.
No, not Sunil.
Not last year.
Last year.
Last year.
Ajay Gorma.
Ajay
probably.
He remembers me that he has met me somewhere. So why I'm telling you, you can do wonders. Don't restrict your area in just. If a Babu kind like us with so much of limitation can learn certain things, then why not you people?
Inspiring, sir. In fact,
with Mr. Karthik, I have that time we didn't had money. While coming, I was telling to Mr. Naidu that I gave him 1,80,000 rupees one project. When he trained me, he empowered me. Ask him. I'm not joking. For 6-7 months, and we discovered for the first time that there is a deformity in frogs in the pristine of the national forest area of the Western Ghat. किया था ना हम लोगों ने? So it's not that I don't fund the research organization. He's a living testimony. by default, he is here today. So if you are doing good.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.